Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Elements of Success. I am your host, Talha Jarad. We're talking about fear. We're talking about one of the most powerful emotions and how to deal with this negative emotion to improve our ability to handle it, and hence we improve our chances and enhance our ability to achieve more and more in life. Now, fear comes from different reasons. People become afraid due to certain circumstances, because of certain things. One of them is the childhood experience. Now, some people have gone through probably certain things in life that caused them to have negative memories or bad memories. Our minds, the work that our mind work is really very interesting. Whatever happens to you in your life gets registered in our minds and our memories, even though you don't remember it completely at a certain moment, but it is in our subconscious mind. It's completely available and it's registered, and everything that happened to you in the past is available there. So nothing gets deleted, nothing gets wiped out. What happens is that if the person went through a certain experience in their childhood, when they grow up, this experience continues, even though they forget it, but their reaction to such experience or any similar things is always governed by this incident that happened to them. And unless they know how to break out of it, they will live the rest of their life imprisoned in this feeling of course, failure and inability to achieve, and so on and so forth. Now, here's a note to parents. Be very careful of using fear against your children. I know it's easy for parents to control their kids. They use the fear factor. Well, I'm going to bring the needle. I'm going to call the cop. Something is going to happen, and they make their kids scared of certain things that are not realistic or not true, or make them even scared of certain things that are not they shouldn't be scared of. But what happens to the child is that as the child really grows up, he keeps these memories and this experience, and it becomes part of his life. So this is very important, why people become afraid. So it's the negative experience, number one. And that has its ramification on the people's life for the rest of their lives. This is not an excuse, by the way, but it's one of the reasons, and we have to mention the reasons as they are. The second reason might be their environment. They live in an environment where everybody, their friends, their relatives, everybody talks about things in a certain way that makes the entire environment is an environment of fear. And this happens in a certain environment where people, they always talk about bad things and what could happen and the worst thing that could happen, and they always elaborate in their fear. So hence, the person lives in this environment, will absorb these things. It becomes part of his life. This is very important. So make sure that you do not get caught in this kind of environment. And if you are in such environments, how to get quickly out of it or change the entire setup that you are in. That's number two. Well, number three, which there are several also reasons related to each other, is the media. It might be also shocking to some people, but really, the movies that we watch, if the person spends lots of time watching violent movies and see the violence over and over and over, that builds certain fear in his mind. And as we said, because our subconscious mind keeps all of these images, this person ultimately becomes afraid of certain things, and he grows up, or he goes by his life. So be careful of this for you and also for your kids. Do not expose them to violent movies, to violent scenes, to violence in general, because that impacts them a lot in their current life and in the future. One of the things related to that is the news, by the way. I'll give you the news from now till 5 years ahead. So you don't need to watch the news for the next 5 years. Somebody was killed there, an accident happened there, a bomb went off there, somebody was injured here. This is the news. Really, this is the news. I mean, think of the news for the past 5 years or 10 years, and you're going to see it's the same news. If you keep watching the same thing and you see the same message again and again and again and again, it goes to your subconscious mind and it builds this fear of things that happen. Oh, this might happen, this thing, that thing. And because of this negative thing, people become afraid sometimes of unrealistic thing, but because of the media keeps repeating these things, they become reality in people's life. So be careful about the news. Again, watch out not to expose your kids, the teenagers, to the media and in general, whether the violent movies and also the news. Don't expose them a lot to this, because that destroys them. That really makes them afraid of a lot of things. Now, another thing related to this is the propaganda. And there is a lot of propaganda in the news itself, and of course in all the media outlets. This is how they make their money. This is how they get people attracted to them. This is how they sell, as a matter of fact. And there are a lot of propaganda. If you believe everything that you hear, you will never achieve anything in life. There are a lot of things that people really just built out of nowhere and just create it, and they just publish it, and becomes reality because of the way that the propaganda machine works. So be careful of this thing. Be very careful for you, for your kids, for your family, for your environment, because that impacts your level of achievement. Because you are always, if you have this propaganda in your mind, you are always afraid of things. So the third reason is the media, as we said, and all different forms of media, whether the movies, the news, the propaganda part of it, the newspapers, and all of these different kind of things. Now, the other thing that might impact people, also the reasons for them to be afraid, is previous experiences in adulthood. Sometimes people go through a certain experience and they try something and they fail, and because they fail, they build the assumption in mind that they are not good at this thing because they tried it once, or probably they did something and they failed at it, so they don't try not only that thing but all other things not related to this thing, because they think of themselves as failures. Well, I tried this something different before, but it didn't work, so they become afraid of trying anything else. And this is very, very dangerous, because the person who lives in fear never accomplishes anything, and he will always be dragged down by this fear and never be able to achieve anything in life. So be careful about this thing. Don't get trapped in such situation. Don't be trapped on this emotion and this feeling. And another reason for why people become afraid, because they don't understand the Islamic perspective about fear. Now, we will talk now about how Islam looks at fear and how it handles fear and how it makes people evaluate their fears according to a different criteria. So, as we said, you become more of a brave person, but not on extremes. You become more of a person that has full control of his emotions and his environment and his things that happens to him and so on. So number one, remember that fear is a feeling. And as we said, by the law of control, you are in control of everything in your life. You are in control of your destiny, you are in control of your life, you're in control of your feelings, emotions, thoughts. So you are in control. So your fear is under your control, and you can change that. This is a very important thing for remedy. To cure yourself from fear, you have to understand that you are able, you have the ability to change this, and you can become fearless, brave, courageous, if you work on it and if you try. Number two is you need to learn this. You need to try it. You need to push yourself. You need to don't just accept that these negative emotions in your head, but try to go and do things. Conquer your fear by doing the things that you are afraid of, and just keep doing it. Remember, this is a habit. This is something that you've accumulated over the course of time. So it's not going to go away quickly and easily. It will take some time, but keep doing it, and always continue on this thing, and you will get it. Another thing is to ask Allah for help, to help you conquer this fear, your fear, to help you overcome your fear. Ask Allah to give you the ability to conquer your fear, and ask Him for help to support you in this. As we said, the Prophet taught us to ask Allah for help over our anxiety, our sadness, sorrow, and so on and so forth. Number 4 is to understand the universal laws, and most importantly, one of the most important universal law that helps you in understanding this is the law of divine will. They understand the law of divine will and decree. You know that whatever happens, happens because Allah wanted to happen. So you don't become afraid. Remember the verse what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, nothing will befall upon us except what Allah has written or prescribed for us. And remember, whatever calamity that befalls upon you, this is a verse, it befalls upon you because of Allah wanted it to happen to you. So if you know this, and if you remember this, and you live in this, you understand then that you don't have to be afraid of so many things, because Allah is in charge, Allah is in control, Allah is the ultimate power that takes care of what happens to you and what happens in the entire universe. So you don't become scared of every single thing. And more importantly, and very critically, consolidate your fear. This is really very exciting. You know, we as human beings, we become afraid, and it's a natural thing to have some fear, but consolidate your fear. What does that mean? Means that make your fear only from Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not be afraid of them, and have fear of me only. And He mentioned also to us, this is of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that you know, you will face in your life so many things and circumstances and so many people who are going to scare you, but do not be afraid of them, and be afraid of me only if you are true believers. And this is what we need to know. Consolidate your fear, make your fear only from Allah and nobody else. And this will give you the courage, the ability to go about your life knowing that Allah is the only fear that you have in your mind and in your heart. And once you have this in your mind and your heart, you're going to progress, you're going to move forward, you're going to achieve more in life, and you're going to attain a lot of things that you've never thought of before. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to us a type of people. He said, those people that He likes and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises, He said, those whom people said, or people around them told them that people have gathered for you, so be afraid of them. They are trying to scare them. So what they said, when people told them this, they told them that people have gathered against you and they will attack you and they will come to you. So what did they say? They said, we put our trust in Allah, and He is the best to take care of us, and the excellent one to put our trust on. They just trusted in Allah. So what happened to them? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said they returned with grace, they returned with favor from Allah, and no harm touched them, and nothing befell upon them, and they followed the good pleasure of, or the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So remember, fear is something that you can change. It's under your control. It's something that you have the ultimate ability to conquer, and you can do it. Just to try it, ask Allah for help, go on, and you will make it and you will achieve it. Thank you for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh